One go-at episode that I forgot to mention in my last video where I was talking about some pretty good horror episodes in Ninja Turtles is Parasitica. This one is in season 1 actually. Yeah, it's near towards the end of season 1 and it's a pretty good episode. It takes place in New York, so perfect environment for the boys, and the villain in these are pretty creepy, I can't lie. They're basically just like big giant flying wasps. It's like dogs inside of a suit with wings, but it's like they're basically the size of dogs, and they're big and massive, and they're also pretty freaky. And I just imagine if I was in their position, even if I was a ninja, I'd still not be able to do it because they look scary as shit. They can fly fast as fuck. Also, they're like, smart as shit. It's like, you think that the wasp was like Einstein and he just got mutated into like a giant flying bug that just attacks people on the regular for no reason. I never really liked bees or wasps. I'm not sure how I feel about bee now because I haven't seen one in ages, but every time one of them would like fly into my room, I'd be freaking the fuck out as if the bee was just personally hired by someone who had something against me and it just came here to kill me. I'd actually start shitting bricks because every time it was in my room. I just didn't like bees. Wasps, on the other, like with bees, they just attack you. They just attack you if you don't let them mind their own business. You just start being a piece of shit to them, then they'll get you. But with wasps, they will attack you no matter what. I haven't seen bees or wasps in a while, but I used to also fucking hate wasps because it's just the fear that they'll just attack me anyway. And they can also just zip zap so fucking fast, like the speed of light or whatever. It's like as fast as like moving your mouse around on screen. And they can just sting you randomly while they're flying about. I was always just really scared about that. They would just, get a quick nip on me and then, just drive out the quick pit stop and then, stab this guy and just, fly off. Also, bees, they will attack you if you attack them. But I swear sometimes they can just be little dickheads that just attack you for no reason. It's like they treat your leg like a scratch, like cats treat scratch posts. They'll just go towards it and start attacking it anyway. Like I remember once I was in, on this island with my auntie once. We were just it's like an island full of like puffins and shit. And this bee just flying onto me and it stung me through the fucking sock, bro. It bypassed the level 1 armor and it just went straight for me. And then my foot was swollen and like the thing on my foot looked like a giant ass balloon pretty much for like a couple of days. It looked like you could just burst it or just pop everywhere. My foot was swollen and I couldn't walk for a couple of days. So yeah. Fuck that bee. I don't know if it's, if it equipped its stinger with some, poison or some shit like you can do with arrows in Skyrim. But, yeah, that bee's a dickhead, and I don't know why I got swollen in the foot, because when a bee stung me in the thumb once, it was grand. My thumb was just immune or whatever. But, yeah, bees and wasps, I never really liked, so that's probably why I don't really like the wasps in this episode. Just kind of, I didn't really like it. Even though it's a kid's show, it's not scary. It's just, imagine being in their position. All the other mutants, I think they're it would be scary to be in the Turtles' position as well, because you're fighting this big ass fucking weed mutant that can regenerate his vines. So you're fighting a big spider fat ass who just works a 9-to-5 job probably, and then this big giga lizard who had electrical powers. That obviously would be scary, but to them they kind of just seem to me kind of more cool and not as freaky. Especially Razar's design, I really love his. He's basically just like a giant werewolf. And Fish Face, he was pretty cool as well. But then these wasps, they just scared the shit out of me. In this episode, they basically just break in a Krang outpost. They find the wasp and then they start fighting it, and this wasp is able to take them on pretty easy. They were not able to do anything. Low key, they might have been able to get the wasp if Mikey just followed Leo's plan. He's just yo, right, so Mikey, you're just gonna run around pretending like you're playing a bit of tag with this wasp, like he's your primary school friend, and then we're gonna ambush it, to get it by surprise. So then they were about to do that, but then Mikey just completely fucked up the plan. He yanked their chances of defeating this wasp by yanking the wasp out of the way at their chin. So it ended up slapping up onto the ground. The wasp ends up getting Leo, and then the wasp kills itself because it injected its stinger into Leo, and that's what happens when wasps and bees die. So they bring it back to the lab, and Leo's they found this egg that looks like a golden jelly bean. They're gonna make bank off of selling that, and Leo, he ends up being obsessed with the egg or some shit. He's acting as if it's his newborn child or whatever. He's protecting it so strictly. He's not letting anyone go near it. He's protecting that shit he's a mother dog who just gave birth to puppies, and he's not letting the male dog go near it. He's that super protective of it, and this ends up getting the whole team fucked. Leo would not let them destroy the egg at first. And the whole team just end up falling apart like throughout the episode. First, Raphael gets infected because he tried to go for the egg itself. He's gonna, beat his brother to destroy the egg. And then Donnie got infected when they ended up fighting Leo and Raphael. Also, these, like, the way these wasps work, when they infect you, they like turn you into like a zombie or whatever. It's like the clickers or runners from like Last of Us, because the second they spot you, they're on your ass. They're trying to fucking, get you to join them. They're trying to convert you to their side. And they'll when Raph and Leo, when they were infected, they're like so animalistic. They wouldn't even like use their weapons half the time. And to be fair though, like, I guess the kind of handier thing is that it makes them more dumber. It's not like it gives them more IQ. It kind of just retardifies them pretty much. It makes them like shittier fighting, which is why it was easier for Raphael to, fuck up Leo pretty much, but Leo still got him. So it's like, if you're just really cautious and you're fighting them, like I'd say it's Splinter, he'd be able to fuck him up. Well, he like taught them, he'd be able to fuck them up anyway. But if you're like cautious and you're really careful when you're fighting them and just didn't let them, bite near you, you should be able to, kill them without no bother, because they're able to they're pretty easy able to get knocked out. Leo's on top of Donnie, and he's about to give him like the death hickey, and then Mikey, he just wraps him up in the chains, and they have him chained up for a bit, and he's not able to break out of the chains or anything. It's pretty easy to get them once you knock them out, and if you haven't chained up, you should be grand. Although they can revert back to their normal selves. It's I don't know, it's not the person fighting the consciousness and trying to regain control. It's like if the person that's infected, he's imitating the person what he's like before he's infected, to kind of troll the person, be like, make them lower their gas, be alright, you can let me out now, I'm not gonna try and bite you. That Mikey almost did that, but then Donnie's just there, and I was like, wait, bro, he still has the wasp COVID. We shouldn't do it. In this episode, they Mikey got pretty lucky that Mikey managed to lock in and save their asses, because the last person to get infected was Donnie, and Donnie had to basically give Mikey the rundown of how to save them. They all have to rely on Mikey. By the way, he usually is pretty useless, and he doesn't really pay attention or anything. But he actually managed to save their asses, because Mikey also got bit, so you had to fight to stay conscious. His mind was trying to take him over. It was like a symbiote, but it's gonna be permanent, and he wasn't gonna be able to do anything about it if he actually gave in. So he had to try with all his fucking effort and will to stay alive to make this serum, and he managed to actually trick him, but it probably wasn't that hard because they were pretty dumb, and you could tell he was faking it. So he managed to save him, cure them all, but then they all ended up being drowsy and just passed out as if they drank too much. The Wasps, they're pretty persistent. They're also if they're 1v1ing you, if they're fighting you, they will be on your ass immediately. It's like someone just shot a fucking homing missile, and it's the Wasp that came for you, because once they spot someone, they'll go after them no matter what. They'll keep going after them until they have their stinger up their butthole, because they are pretty dedicated and also pretty hard to fight. The turtles were all nearly fucked until Mikey got a hold of the trash ball shooter, and he managed to blast them all up. It's like he shot them and they exploded like honey. It's like he was playing target practice with floating jars of honey. He managed to save their asses by using the van and by making the cure. So yeah, that was a pretty good episode, because it also seemed like all the turtles were nearly fucked, but then Mikey managed to lock in just in time. And yeah, I should have mentioned it in my horror episodes, but I forgot. I don't know, there's just I had a bunch of other episodes, and I just completely about Parasitica. It's a really good episode, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, see you later.